Earbuds. I need a coffee. There's a few very good reasons why I don't like earbuds and I don't recommend them to anyone. Where's the cups? For one thing, there's by design no noise isolation whatsoever. You left the whole world in. Who wants to do that? That just means you can't go to your quiet, happy place where you can indulge your most disturbing thoughts. And because there's no seal of the ear, well, there's no active noise cancellation either. I like this one. Now, also because you have no seal, well, music quality takes a hit. Sound quality takes a hit. Bass response goes out the window. Why? And do you know what the worst part is? Now you've got all your ambient noise coming in because there's no seal, you've got no noise cancelling, and if you've got music running, to even be able to listen to your music, you're gonna have to play music really loud. Now you've got the music coming in loud, you've got your environmental noises coming in loud, everything's just loud all the time. And you might be thinking, yeah, what's the big deal in that? That's because you're in your 20s or in your 30s and you haven't quite grown up. But here's the thing, 50-year-old you has learned a thing or two about hearing aids. And he wants to have a word with you, a really stern, he wants to kick your ass, basically. But that doesn't mean they're completely useless. I mean, you might be in a situation where you want to hear music, but you also want to be aware of your surroundings. Like if you're in an office, you want to be able to hear when your boss is yelling for you, at you. Do you? Or maybe you just don't want your ears plugged. So then it seems there is still very much a market for the Soundpeats Air 3. This comes under $40 and you get absolutely no points for guessing who they're trying to imitate. Now, for $40 you don't expect much, but I will say that is a particularly cheap feeling case and earbud. But it's small, it's tiny. Look at this thing, it's like a little tic-tac box, and inside the earbuds are similarly cheap but also very light, which means when you put them on, they're very comfortable. Of course, there are some caveats. For example, I found that the openings over here, just the ones that meet your ear, they're a little bit sharp, and I wish they were a little bit more rounded here, because if you try and settle them in your ear and squeeze them in a little, well, they can hurt just a little bit. It's just one of those things that should have been finessed just a little bit more to make it a little more comfortable. The problem here is that if you're doing anything other than sitting absolutely still or walking at a very slow pace, I have no confidence that these will stay in your ear. Once you've got them on, they might feel okay while you're sitting, but if you start walking and if you just pick up the pace a little bit, or God forbid, even step on a little pebble and your axis is off by like 0.7 degrees, you start to do this balancing act. Oh, is my left earbud going to fall? Oh, the right earbud's going now. There's no confidence because it's just not very stable in the ear at anything except, like, unless you're a sloth. Actually, sloths hang upside down. Nope, that doesn't work as well. A snail. If you're sitting absolutely still or you're walking at a snail's pace, great. Otherwise, not so much. Now, when it comes to comfort, I also take into account ease of use. Now, the case is, it's a case and it's very small, so it's easy to use, and it has a USB-C charging slot, which means it's still easier to use. The earbuds, on the other hand, they work on touch controls. Problem with that, the finish on it is really quite slippery, that's another problem, but mostly it's the touch controls. They work, they're very responsive, and I have no issues with the touch controls themselves, except the whole touch surface is that bit there, where the logo is. Yeah, not the entire thing, not the sides, just that bit there. And the problem with that is, even if you're sitting, it's hard enough to reach it, but if you're on the go, it's really hard to hit the exact right spot all the time. So you're just fumbling for controls all the time. And if you're running, there's almost no way to touch the right place. Not because the surface is small, but because, well, it's already fallen out of your ear like 2 kilometers ago and you just haven't realized because it's so light. Now, when it comes down to the features, well, it's got a Qualcomm 3040 chipset, which means you have single earbud usage. That's nice. You've got in-ear detection, which means pause, play. That's also very nice to have. And you've got microphone noise cancelling for your phone calls, which there'll be a microphone check at the end of this video. Funnily enough, it does come with an app that teases you because it's got a little tab that says, ooh, active noise cancelling, and then it doesn't work because it doesn't actually have ANC. Now, speaking of the app, it's got a reasonably slick interface. It gives you individual earbud battery levels, but not case battery levels. But it does give you a few options. It gives you volume control in the app, which I don't really see why. And it has game mode and in-ear detection. Now, game mode promises less than 60 milliseconds of latency, which means you can use them for playing video games and such, as long as you're not gaming while you're running. That didn't make any sense. Point is, the low latency mode is definitely one of the best features of all the Soundpeats. They almost always seem to come with that feature, and I love it. It also has in-ear detection, of course, but not much else on the app except for 3 forms of EQ. The app is literally based around the 3 forms of EQ, which I guess brings us to sound quality. This is going to be, how should I put this? It's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal. It's not great. Obviously, it's a $40 device and it's not even, there's no seal. So bass response quite recessed. That's understandable. You've got to push the volume really high up to have decent bass response. But what's really, really annoying is the sibilance. The highs are so extreme. They're just incredibly sibilant. No matter how much EQ you have, if you're listening to this using the Soundpeats Air3, and I literally just said Soundpeats, and I'm gonna say it again, I'm sorry, that's just really mean, because your ears, you are in pain right now. That's how bad the sibilance is. I'm not sure about this, but someone once said Marcus Brownlee's podcast and videos, they're incredibly sibilant. It's true. I don't know what he does with his mics, but they're all very sibilant all the time. And this exaggerates that so much that you can't listen to MKBHD. That's how sibilant it is. And the rest of the sound is not great either. The only saving grace, of course, it's got 3 different EQs, one of which is a bunch of presets. Great. They do work, they do change things, but they don't actually fix the inherent issues. Then you've got custom EQ. Also good. You can clean up the sound a little, although I got better results with Wavelet personally. Don't even bother because it's still that bad. And finally, you've got Sound ID. This one's actually not that bad because their approach to Sound ID seems to be rather minimal. And I like that because Sound ID can go really wrong really fast. All it does is it gives you an audiometry test, different frequencies at different volumes, and asks you if you can hear it. The funny thing is, at certain frequencies, the driver starts buzzing because it's just not able to keep up. Their own driver can't handle those frequencies. It's almost comical. But all it does is boost the frequencies which it feels you can't hear. Thankfully for me, all it was the extreme ends of the spectrum. 16 kilohertz, 30 hertz. Just boosted the ends there, which is fine. Like, just leave everything else alone. The funny thing is, after it did that, the sound was actually cleaner than the stock sound. They're cleaner than the Soundpeats Classic signature. And weird, but it seems to work. It's still sibilant as heck though. So at the end of the day, for sound quality, this ain't it, chief. Now, if all of that does not turn you away from this device, then battery life is fine. It's 5 hours claimed, but really more like 4 hours and 20 or 30 because you're always running it at a high volume all the time. And you've got another 14, 15 hours out of the case, realistically. So in conclusion, would I recommend this device? Look, I want to get my biases out of the way first. I am not a fan of earbuds. I think proper IEMs do a better job of everything, and if you have good ambient sound mode, then that just takes care of all the use cases. But I do understand that people still want something that doesn't plug their ears. For those people, I would say it's worth doing more research. Because here's the thing, right? For a tech reviewer, it's the easiest thing in the world. It's a $40 device. You know it's cheap, you know you can recommend it because anything that works for cheap is inherently good value, right? But here's my argument against that. If you can spend only $40, if you're really on a tight budget, then you probably want to make each dollar count. And I would say for that money, there are a couple of fundamental flaws that I cannot get past. The fact that this is just unstable in the ear at anything beyond a snail's pace is appalling because it's so light. If you go for a run, it might fall out, you won't even know it's fallen out, and there goes your money. The second is that sibilance in the sound quality is just not great, and you can try and tame it, but nothing I did worked. Maybe you'll have better luck. I think those two things make this a relatively unusable device, in my opinion. Does it still work? Yes. Look, at the base of it, it's a device that creates sound. If you're using it at low volumes, the sibilance is less of an issue. So if you're using it in the office at low volumes and you want to be aware of your surroundings, then sure, this works. But anything beyond that use case, I can't recommend this. You just can't. What I can recommend though is you hit that subscribe button because we've got a lot more content coming. What about the Sony XM4 revisited after a year? Does it still hold value, especially against the Sony LinkBuds S, which come in at $190 something? What? The answer is not what you think it is. And also, comparing the Momentum True Wireless 3 against the XM4 might be a good idea. All these and more, so many ideas, so many videos all coming at you. Same time, different place, same channel. Hit that subscribe button and I'll see you in the next one. Namaste.
What you doing? Do you want to do a little mic test?
This is a mic check of the Soundpeats Air 3 true wireless earbuds. Now, it's absolutely quiet. There's only a little bit of air conditioning going, but you should be able to hear me pretty decently, and I'm speaking at what I consider a normal volume. Now, for those cafe sounds. We've got cafe sounds going now. I'm going to move my head around. I'm still speaking at a normal volume. Is this good? Is this bad? What do you think? What if I was trying to yell at the person at the other end of the phone? Then I would sound something like this. Hi, can you hear me? I know it's a little bit noisy in here, but I feel like we should do this $3.7 billion deal today, right now, over the phone. I'll send you the check.